Good morning. It is now Monday, April 6th or 5th, I don't know. Been on quarantine, so kind of lost track of my days. We are starting Project Little Red Rocket. And if you haven't noticed, all my cars are kind of named after cartoon characters, and that's because I got two little girls that like to do that. So what we got here is an 89 Chevy Cavalier Z24 model. Originally came factory with a 2.8 and an automatic. That's not what's in it now. What we need to do is a timing chain, camshaft, lifters, oil pan gasket, and all the upper gaskets to get to the camshaft. Give you a full walk around here. Car's in pretty good shape. The body has, let's see, 210,000. We'll look at the odometer here in a little bit, just to verify. It's my daily driver. I'll give you a little background on the car. Okay. Look in here, you can see, well, that ain't no automatic shifter. It now has a 5-speed in it. And then, oh, I was a little bit off. We got 205,000 miles on it. All the gauges work. Got a JVC stereo down here. Picked it up off of Amazon. You know, pretty nice little stereo. And in the back, you know, the interior is in really good condition for the age of the car. And then I went ahead and went a little scientist on it and put in two 8-inch Boss subs. I got two Sony Explode 250 watt amps pushing them. They're 300 watt subs, so not a whole lot of power, but more than enough to rock this little car. Then I upgraded to 5x8s in the dash. Too big for the holes, but they work. And yes, that is a cowl induction hood. And I'll open up the hood here in a second. Let you see all that goodies. Alright. I'll step outside here. Yep, there's a morning chicken for you. It's about 9:30 in the morning right now. Alright, I'm gonna grab a hood prop. Take a look at the mountains while I'm doing this. Okay, like I said, that's not the motor that's supposed to be in this car. My alternator wiring went out, so I went ahead and put in a nice 4-gauge wire, 250 amp circuit breaker going to the battery. Works great. And true cowl induction, right there. It does function. I did get rid of the AC condenser and all that. You can see that ain't there. It's an old R12 system, and well, if you had done anything with AC, you know R12 is virtually impossible to get rid of, or get your hands on, I should say. So it's dirty and nasty because it's my daily driver. I go down to the gravel pit and, you know, get slurry and everything else on it. So, you know, it happens. Alright. So we'll go ahead and grab my key here. And like all my other rigs, I have bypassed the neutral safety. She got a little rumble to her. Now you listen to that and you go, why are you doing a cam and timing chain? That sounds like it's running good. Well, it's also butt cold right now. So what happens when it starts to warm up, at least 4 or 5 lifters start rattling. And it's, yeah, everyone says, well, that's the classic 3-1 lifter. That's the Chevy motor. They all rattle. Well, yes, but my fuel mileage has also dropped 3 miles to the gallon in the last, I don't know, 2 months. And then I got 205,000 on it. That's roughly what's on the motor. So let me get into a history lesson here. This is number 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe this is Cavalier number 5 between me and my dad. All 89 or 90 Z24 Cavaliers. Grand total of Cavaliers in the family have been 6, 7, 8 now. We like these little cars, but these little red and silver 89 and 90s, this is number 5. So what happened, my dad bought a 90 back when I was in, I think elementary school, and put a buttload of miles on it, commuting back and forth to work. And one day we were going downtown, right at 236,000 miles, timing chain busted. You know anything about these 3-1 motors? They're interference motor, timing chain breaks, and well, that's the end of the motor. Pistons come up, slap the valves. So bye-bye motor. Well, he talked to one of his buddies at the Chevy dealer at the time, got himself a crate motor from Chevy for about 500 bucks because they were going to put it in a Pontiac Grand Am or let's see, it was a Grand Am or a Grand Prix, I don't remember which. But this motor, for some reason, has a miss in it. Well, if you take it up just off of idle, the miss goes away. But being the car it was ordered for was an automatic, you can't do that. You can't turn it up the idle. So they ended up having to give him a different motor. My dad got this one out of the back room at Chevy for, pennies on the dollar what it was worth at the time. Put it in, runs great. Okay, now let's fast forward about, I don't know, 5-10 years. And the car sat where my dad parked his big truck, because we were both over the road drivers. So it sat down there, for quite a while. And he went to drive it home one weekend and got in, put it in gear, went to take off, and all the pads or the stickies off the clutch blew apart. Okay, get it towed home, sat on the side of the house for, God, I don't even remember how long. Well, in that time, I went through an 89 Cavalier with a 2.8, cracked the block. It's a classic problem with the 2.8s, they crack the block. Alright, so I let that one go to the scrapper. Then my daily driver blew up on me. So my stepmom was telling my dad, well, either you get the car out of the yard or it's going to the scrapper. So my dad calls me up, says, get a tow dolly, get over here, get the car. Okay, cool. Go over, get the car, get it home, completely go through the clutch, brakes, everything, get it roadworthy again. At this time, car has 389,000 miles on it, on the body. Motor's got 200 something, or no, 100 something on it, 150 or so. Alright, bring it home, dump about 1,000, 1,500 bucks into it, put it all back together. Running great. Drive it for a couple years. And then coming home from work one afternoon, Come around the corner and something didn't feel right in the steering. And when I turned the steering wheel back to get the car going straight, my steering wheel was 90 degrees off of where it should have been. Uh-oh, big problem. Okay. Stop, turn around, go back to work. It's only a half mile back to work. Boss man lets me borrow his car trailer to get it home. Get it home and discover the rack and pinion has ripped out of the firewall. How's that happen? Well, 400,000 miles of running back and forth over Snoqualmie Pass, and the body just finally gave up. Okay, now I need another body. I got a good motor. The transmission at that time, third gear synchro was going out of it, so it grind going into third gear. I have another transmission out of my 89 Cavalier. I saved it when I scrapped it. So, okay. Well, I happened to find this body sitting in, where was it? Carnation. Went out there, had a 2.8 in it with the automatic, and the guy told me he was working on it for a little old lady, trying to diagnose it. It stalled out, wouldn't start back up. Okay, well, I knew instantly what was wrong with the car. The fuel injectors were shorting out. These cars got a really funny fuel system. If one injector gets low on resistance or shorts out, it will shut down the entire fuel system. I know this because I spent months chasing down injectors and electrical problems, because mine did the exact same thing. Except mine would do it going down the road, all happy things. Okay. Cool. Great. Get it home, and the motor was half torn apart. I mean, valve covers were off, intake was off. He was in the process of tearing the motor apart in the car. Alright. Get it home, and sure enough, there are 3 injectors that were bad. And we got a chicken in there that just laid an egg back in my clean room again. Yes, Marie. So, get it home, change out the injectors, drop battery in it. I don't even bother putting the valve covers or anything back on. I just, get in, hit the key. Let's see if this thing will start. Sure enough, fires right up. Sounds great. Sweet, I just scored a $300 running car. Well, as soon as I gave it a little bit of throttle, brought the RPMs up, I heard the telltale squeaking of a spun bearing in the bottom end. Okay, so I need to swap motor. Well, my other car's a 5-speed, this one's an automatic. Well, they bolt up because it's a 3.1 and a 2.8, same bolt pattern. Okay, yank out the 2.8, drop in the 3.1. Cool, great. Got the car put back together, running sweet. Alright, cool. And I drove it like that for, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And at the 6-month mark, I blew first gear out of the car. Rolled up to a stop sign, didn't come to a complete stop. Seen it was clear, got on it to get across the intersection. Bam, first gear blows up. Alright, it'll grab enough that it'll get it rolling, get it into second gear, get it home. Okay, now my little car's dead. What do I do? Well, in the meantime, I picked up what my kids lovingly refer to as Monster, a little green monster over there. 2002 Cavalier. Again, paid $300 for it. It was a junkyard reject, picked it up from a bunch of crackheads. And, did a junkyard rebuild on it, went down, got junkyard brake drums, a whole bunch of stuff the car needed. Got it put back on the road. Car runs great, sweet. Now, it's been about 6 months, and we'll come back over here. Rocket's still sitting there on the slab, wanting a transmission. Well, I saved up the money. And I figured, you know, these cars came down the factory assembly line, and it wasn't nothing but the VIN number that told them it was supposed to be an automatic or a stick shift. And I got another transmission and all the shift linkage and pedal and master and slave cylinder and everything out of my other car. So screw the automatic, I'm putting a manual transmission back in, make the car fun again. So I tore automatic out of there and did a bunch of measuring before I got rid of the other car, the other carcass. Measured everything out, and sure enough, they had the knockouts in the firewall. They weren't drilled through, but the outlines were there. So I put it all together, drilled some holes, and wham bam, I got a 5-speed back in my car. Sweet. Change out the center console and everything, make it all work with the 5-speed. So that brings us up to current. And it's got roughly on the motor and the tranny and on the car body, they're all between 205 to 220,000 miles. But now we got the death rattle in the motor. So, you know, and of course you can see we got all the standard leaks. Intake manifold, valve covers, and the oil pan leaks like a sieve. So we're going to yank the transmission out the bottom, bring the engine out the top, tear it apart, and show you how to do a camshaft and timing chain in one of these. Get it put back together and take it for a ride. I showed you the Crowler camshaft that I want to use in another video, and it should be quite the fun little car again. So it's time to get to work.